I honestly thought that tonight I was going to have a nice, relaxing evening after I published the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine. We just published issue 44, and the cover star was Kayla Reinica, and it was all about the youth system and how to improve the youth system and what it takes to have a functioning youth system within a international setup. And I thought that would be a perfect addition to publish and to release after Eid and after Ramadan and all of those things, and me being obviously a hiatus for quite some time now on on the channel. And I preset a time. I said 4 o'clock. I'm going to publish this. I think it's a nice time. Gives us an opportunity to be able to drip out the content right through the evening. And then a story broke at exactly 4 o'clock, South African Standard Time. Rob Walter stepped down as Proteas coach for the white ball game. I was shocked. First thing I did is I ran to the story to double check whether this was an April Fool's or not. And when I had a look at it, I read out the press release, which I'm going to be reading out to you guys very soon. I saw that it wasn't an April Fool's joke. It was the reality. So my initial reaction was, why now? But then afterwards, the emotions started to settle. And I said, I cannot ignore going live with you guys tonight to discuss this because this is a major talking point. And I want you guys to please be extremely active in the live chat. Let me know where your feelings are, where you think South Africa sits currently with regards to now preparing for for the next World Cup, for the main World Cup that is in South Africa. So this was an incredible news story to break on a Tuesday at 4 o'clock. So we're going to be discussing that on today's show. But before we get going, before we get started, there are a couple of things I'd like you guys to please do. First and foremost, please, you need to subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell for all future videos, please. We have been producing a hell of a lot of exclusive content, videos that we've uploaded other than the live shows. Obviously, now I've been quiet on the live show front because it was the Ramadan period and the times just couldn't fit in with when I had to break my fast. So I decided to just take a little bit of a break over there on that. But I did provide you guys with a lot of exclusives that I've uploaded to the channel. So please go ahead and go check that out. Some behind the scenes content as well from my team that is doing exceptionally well with regards to video content. So shout out to both Emily and Anik for the work that they've been putting in on with regards to the social media front of social video media front, as well as the YouTube front with regards to videos. I'd also like you guys to please subscribe to Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly because every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. It's very important that you guys do so. The latest issue is out now. It's all about youth cricket and the youth cricket system in South Africa. So the link is on the screen as well as in the description. So go ahead and do that right away, please. And go read it. That's some nice light reading at night for you guys. Just to get some insight, we interviewed the likes of Malibunga Maketa and Danisha Devnarain. We also have Luandre Pretorius exclusive in there, as well as an awesome article from Chris Chiwanza about the Manak twins. So please go ahead and check that out. I think it's some great insight into understanding what our youth system goes through. The schools SA20 also happened, and it updates you as well on what took place in that tournament. So go and get your latest issue. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your live cricket show. I'm your host, Khalid Moeddin, and today we're going to be discussing the massive breaking news that took place earlier on today. Rob Walter has resigned as Proteas coach of the white ball teams. And this came as quite a shock to me. I never really heard much rumblings about this. I normally would maybe hear some insights and maybe some suggestions that these things could be happening, but this came from left field for me. I didn't expect it. I was fully focused, obviously, on the magazine, and that's what my focus was on for the last couple of weeks, is to get this one out and published. So when this news broke, I was quite shocked and taken aback, and obviously I had to release the story. But I'm going to be giving you guys the insight into what happened, because this um, is something that I'm currently okay with. And I know some of you guys may think that that's a bit controversial, but I couldn't see any other way. And I know it says that Rob Walter steps down, but I felt that at this point, after the Champions Trophy, the direction that the team was going, the team that they selected, or the squad they selected for that Champions Trophy, I felt that it was a little bit backwards in thinking. And I thought that at this point in time, that CSA would have made a decision on Rob Walter before the Champions Trophy already, after the exit. But I do also believe that, when a team is doing well, or exceeding expectations, etc., and do make history, it's very hard to then let go of your coach. And that would have been a very difficult decision from the directors of cricket, because I say two, because there are two people that have split now roles. You've got Enoch Nkwe in charge of the national side, etc., and Eddie Koza that's involved with more of the development side and the other aspects of the cricket arena. So let's go through the story. Cricket South Africa has announced the resignation of Proteas men's white ball coach Rob Walter, effective 30 April 2025. So the end of this month. Walter has attributed his resignation to personal reasons, which CSA has accepted. Walter, who has held the position since March 2023, has played an instrumental role in South Africa's recent successes on the global stage. Under his leadership, the Proteas made history by reaching their first ever ICC Men's T20 World Cup final in 2024, where they finished as runners-up to India in Barbados. Thanks for reminding us. A record run of 8 consecutive wins underpinned the campaign. His tenure also saw the 50-over side reach the semi-finals of the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup 2023 in India. In his time at the helm, Walter oversaw the national side in 36 one-day internationals and 31 T20 internationals, with series wins against Netherlands, Australia, Ireland, and Pakistan. It's interesting that they said it like that, or they phrased it like that, because if they actually show his ratio, his win ratio, and his the win to loss ratio, it wouldn't look that great in a press release like this, and it would actually almost expose the failures of Rob Walter during this time. His final assignment was the ICC Champions Trophy 2025, where he led the Proteas to another semi-final appearance, this time against New Zealand in Lahore in March. Coaching the Proteas has been an incredible honor, and I am immensely proud of what we achieved together, said Walter. The players, support staff, and the South African cricketing community have been fantastic throughout this journey. While it's time for me to step away, I have no doubt that the team will continue to grow and reach even greater heights. Director of National Teams and High Performance, that's Enoch's new title, said, Rob has done an immense job for South African cricket over the past 2 years. It is also important to recognize Rob's commitment to expanding the talent pool across both formats. Don't agree with that. While in charge, he ensured that emerging players had the opportunity to develop and make their mark at the highest level, which will be critical for the future of the Proteas. We have a busy period of white ball cricket over the next 2 years as we build towards the Cricket World Cup on home soil. His successor will continue to work towards that 50-over World Cup campaign along with the next year's T20 World Cup. CSA Chief Executive Officer Palesi Moseke said, Rob played a significant role in the rebuilding of the Proteas brand on the international stage. During his 2 years in charge, we have witnessed a significant increase in faith in South African cricket, largely due to the team's performances. His professionalism and work ethic have been exemplary, and he will undoubtedly be missed. On behalf of Cricket South Africa, we wish him all the success in the future. A successor will be announced in due course. So that is the press release. That's what was said to us and told to us about this particular decision. Now, I've also seen that it was personal reasons, and that's maybe the reason why he has stepped down. I am okay with this particular decision, or however you want to call it, because I felt that this team was going in to no man's land in a way, because I felt that if we want to build to a 2027 World Cup, if that is the priority, which they fed us at the beginning of Enoch's tenure, they spoke about how the 2027 World Cup would be the priority. And the next couple of World Cups would be a building blocks towards that reality. And I feel that they haven't really stuck to that template or that um, consistency when it comes to bringing in young talent. I know they've mentioned it in the press release that they have, but I don't necessarily agree that they have. I've always said that I want to see a slow blend in of players, of younger players into the team over a period of time. It's 2, 3 years, 4 years it was from the previous World Cup, of course. It's the perfect time to reset the model and start building the next generation of talent. Now, perhaps maybe some of them might not have been ready at the time that I'm speaking about, but we need to have a proper scouting system in place and that can identify young talent and then be brave enough to select them in the format. We've seen that in the Red Bull arena. Coach Shukri has taken a lot of risks when it comes to certain players. For example, Tristan Stubbs, batting him at 3. It was a brave decision. And some may say it's not a brave decision if you know the talent that Tristan Stubbs is and you've seen him play domestically. Now, if Rob Walter was more involved in domestic cricket and actually understood who are the players that are knocking on the door from a youngster perspective, we would have seen a lot more youngsters, I feel, coming into the system. Yes, we saw Ngaba Peter. Yes, we saw Kwena Mapaka. And yes, we saw Tristan Stubbs get opportunities. But I felt that Kwena and Tristan, it wasn't really a Rob decision. The decision was already made to bring him into the system by Coach Shukri and Enoch. So I do feel that he maybe didn't live up to the expectations that I was hoping for. I thought that obviously bringing in a coach that has international experience from a domestic point of view, that would have given us maybe some insights into a new way forward and a new game plan and mentality. But I felt that South Africa fell into the same traps. In all of these semi-finals that we played, in the final that we played, we fell into the same traps. Not being um, clinical enough at the death, throwing away that World Cup final, I felt, when we were 30 needed or 30 balls. There were a lot of disappointing decisions in crucial moments for South Africa. And the bilateral record or the ODI record outside of ICC tournaments was exceptionally poor. And then we also got this ICC Champions Trophy where we had our best possible chance to win an ICC trophy, I felt. And it was a very poor performance again by the boys in a semi final. So we need to find a way on how to get that mentality to be able to get us over the line because we are long overdue a trophy. That I feel that most South African cricket fans have exited this WhatsApp group because they are not winning trophies, and the support isn't as immense or as they may have said in this release. I feel like almost that the support is wavering because of the lack of trophies that this team is winning. So I'm currently sitting in a situation where am happy about this happening, that Rob Walter has left the gig, and I hope that they choose the right person that can take us to the trophy at home. My concern now is 2 years into a rebuild. It was supposed to be a rebuild after the last World Cup. It was supposed to be a rebuild into 2027. I think that we are now we've gone backwards in the Champions Trophy. And I think that would have been a perfect opportunity to maybe test the younger talent, future guys that might have kept, that you would have probably said would make that 2027 team. And we lost an opportunity there to do that. Now we're sitting 2 years out of a World Cup and we're going to be throwing players basically under the bus, not giving them enough time to settle in and get familiar with the other senior players in the side. Because what's going to happen in this team is we have quite a few players that are currently at the end of the peak. They're just clipping that end of the peak. they have one foot on the peak and the other foot off the edge. So at the moment, they are sitting in a very precarious position where I feel that in 2027 they'll probably retire, and now we have them in our last ODI squad. And your last ODI team is probably the team that is most recent. That if you ask what is the Proteas team, you'd probably say that last team that we saw in the Champions Trophy. So that feels like we've gone a little bit backwards. I felt that maybe we could have given a guy like Deva Brevis, Jordan Herman, Matthew Bretsky, all of these guys opportunities. Mkwena Mapaka, give him a lot more game time. Ngaba Peter, let him get more familiar and learn about conditions and learn about spin and learn from other opposition players, international players as well, when it comes to how he can improve his craft. Because there aren't a lot of wrist spinners to learn from when it comes to South African cricket. So the only way he's going to learn, I feel, is being coached in game, managed in game, and then obviously seeing what other international stars do too. So there are quite a few things that I felt we're almost starting at zero again, um, and the it all be dependent on who they select. I personally think that Coach Shukri should maybe just take over both sides. I've always been in favor if they wanted to split the role. What I would have done is I would have combined ODI and Test, and then get a new T20 coach that specializes in T20 cricket, because the T20 game is a game on its own. There are not many similarities between T20 and other formats at all, I feel. So where I do think there are certain similarities between one day cricket and where Test cricket is going. So that's something that I feel that can happen, because you can still build an innings in an ODI just like you can in Test cricket. Maybe not at a slower at as slow of a rate as you do in Test cricket, some batters, but you can still build an innings. So that's what I would like to probably see, is Coach Shukri just take over the realm as the 50 over coach, particularly for that World Cup. Um, and we have a T20 World Cup next season as well. So that's crazy that we're gonna have to now build up. We got a 1 year for the new coach to come in, and then what happens? The new coach comes in. He has the mentality of, oh, I'm new to this. I don't know the players. I first have to get familiar with them. If it's a guy that's out of the people that are already in the system, I first have to give them a chance. You know, they never played under me, so it's only fair that I give them a chance first and see if they're good enough. No, I almost feel like they need to bring someone that understands these players, knows these players, worked with these players, and then can make the ruthless decisions that's needed to get us to the level of being able to win a World Cup. So that's my full thoughts on this particular topic. Now it's up to you guys. I want to see what you have to say. What do you want to know, or what would you like to say about this particular news that broke today? Got Mika in the comments. He says Shukri Conrad and Robin Peterson. It will be Shukri Conrad for me. I can't lie. The Champions Trophy semi-final bottle job. Rob should have been sacked, says Mika. And he says also Markram and Miller disappointing again tonight. I can't keep up with all this IPL, to be honest. There's so many games. There's going to be plenty of failures that are going to happen, and then some highlights. But there's so many games happening after each other. It's ridiculous. It's just too much T20 cricket. You could seriously get an overdose of T20 cricket, I feel. Talha says, what you say about getting an overseas coach? I mean, I wouldn't mind an overseas coach, but then again, if we do, like I said earlier, he's going to have to get familiar with the players. We don't know how much scouting domestically he's going to know. We don't know how much he knows about our domestic cricketers. That I felt was a problem with Coach Rob. I felt like he didn't know our domestic cricketers and who were the guys that were talked about in the domestic scene. I don't know how much domestic cricket he had time to actually go and watch these players play a 50 over game in a one day cup or a T20 game in the T20 challenge. I don't know how much of that scouting happened, and I feel like if an international team player, an international coach comes in, we're going to sit with a similar scenario. Because it's sure if CSAs are serious, that's like everyone and hires SA coach with an international former players coaching staff. Lawrence Bailey says Rob has done a good job, especially at ICC events, but after qualifying for 2 semi-finals and a final, without getting over the line. I personally welcome his decision to part ways. Talha Patel says, I think it's great start. We need a fresh start in a white ball format. Let's see who is the new coach and how they take to the team forward. Lawrence says, my two top picks for the job is A.D. Burrell and Russell Domingo, two coaches who know domestic cricket in SA and who are familiar with our players locally, which is important. Robbie P. close on my list too. Out of those options that you've given, it is A.D. Burrell for me. Joab says overdue step down. Sarah says Aiden and Bavuma needs to lead along with Rob. You see, for the next World Cup, I don't see many of these guys surviving. Bar Tony, Ryan Rickleton, KG Rabada, Aiden Markram, um, Debray Shamsi perhaps, and I mean Keshav I think can go a little longer. Marco Janssen, of course, Tristan Stubbs. I don't see Heinrich and David really surviving till then. I think they're going to start getting into that mode now next year, maybe after next year's World Cup, where they're going to want to probably display T20 cricket around the world and walk away from the other formats. That's what I think they're going to do, especially with David Miller starting a young new family right now. I think that will probably be the decision that's going to be made. So I'd rather make those decisions now on who's going to replace them and bed them in. I would like to see a mix of younger players with senior players in games now, especially this year when we hit the new season. I would like to see those youngsters because we got a tour against Zimbabwe. I mean, in Zimbabwe, that's a perfect opportunity to throw in some youngsters with some experienced guys and allow them to feed off other senior players and get familiar with the format and get settled in this game, in this international game. Tala says, I think Deva Breva should be a regular in all formats, but for now, he should at least start in the white ball setup. And another guy that's been knocking on the door in all formats as well now recently, okay, maybe not in the test arena quite yet. I think he maybe needs more forward cricket on his belt. Is Loan Pretorius. He's been excellent. His transition has been phenomenal from under 19 to SA20 to domestic cricket. He's constantly improving. Sarah says, before we all forget Bavuma's innings of 23 balls on a flat track. PBG3 says Markram's captaincy took SAT20 final. He should be opener all formats and captain T20. Aiden forever misery form, and it continues in the IPL, says Sarah. Wilbur says, hi, Khalid. As much as I was a critic of Walter being the Proteas coach, it's difficult. He's had to deal with politics, injuries, resting players, etc. He was a very good at ICC events, but dreadful outside. And when it comes to political interference, etc., they took away transformation for World Cups. So he could pick the best players in the country for the World Cup. He had no restrictions. So with regards to using that as an excuse, I don't think that happened for him. I don't think that's a good enough excuse for him. I know that's not what you're saying though, but I'm just adding that now. It's made me think of that. Because I love Markram as a player, but he needs to step down and do better. Tala says, what if Shukri takes over? It's not a bad option, but I'd rather want Shukri to focus on Red Bull. Only he is doing good at the moment. But I think if Shukri manages to win the WTC, he might take over. Phobos says, but I think it was time for him to go. We need to look towards the 2027 World Cup and start building the team from scratch. Bavuma's PBG3 says Bavuma should step down from ODI and focus on Red Bull. Time for new generation. Tony DeZorzi is better to me. Lawrence Bailey says, I personally don't want Shukri to be given all three formats. He's done a fantastic job in rebuilding our test side, and we should not take his focus off that. I think he'll be able to handle it. Tala says, but what I'm saying is, if he wins the WTC, don't you think it will be good to have him on board for a white ball setup? I do think so. I think he'll be able to handle it. Lawrence says, I also wouldn't be against an international coach, but I doubt we'll see that, especially with us hosting a home World Cup. That's a good, fair point. Sarah says, we need an aggressive mindset up the order. Look at Rohit Sharma. He attacks and takes up the role of the captain and leads from the front. I still cannot digest Bavuma's innings in the power play. Lawrence says Rob Walter had a primed white ball team and he couldn't take us over the line. That put a huge strain on him, I think. Once again, we lose without giving anybody opportunities. So might as well have taken a risk with one or two younger players. Well, says I think 2 years is enough time to build a squad for the World Cup. We just need to play a lot of ODIs. Yeah, and that's the issue. Game time. Justin says Alan Donald as a coach, please. I mean, he's been in and out here as coach for the Proteas for over the years. I don't think they'll go back there again. Rob Walter failed simple as that, says Micah. I want Gibbs on the coaching staff, says Micah. I don't know how good Gibbs will be as a coach. I know he has very strong opinions and a very good understanding of the game, but I don't know as a coach. Would he be able to connect with everybody in the team on a personal level as well? Because it's very important that your coaches also get along with the players and have an understanding with the players in the squad. Lawrence Bailey says, will be interesting to see how the new coach will go about his personnel, especially with guys like Bavuma, Riza, Rasi, Miller, Kesh, and Shams, you are getting to the latter stage of their careers. They need to find another wrist spinner that they can bring into the setup, that they can grow and coach and allow him to be able to settle in, because that's an area that we are lacking. I have a feeling that George Linder is probably going to see a lot more game time in the ODI setup. So that will be good to all the George Linder fans out there. Lawrence's coaches like Dominga and Burrell also won't have these kind of problems, Carly. They know the players in our system. And that's why I'm a big fan of Burrell. If it's not Coach Shukri, then Burrell would be my first option as white ball coach. I am a massive fan of his mentality and the way he thinks, his ability to speak multiple languages, his understanding of what the South African culture is all about. His SA20s team is a true reflection of South African cricket, and that's what I like about the Sunrisers. Ahmed asking about a foreign coach that was asked earlier on. Justin says, Shukri, I want to see Brevis in the squad versus Australia in the final. Yo, that's a massive call over there. Wilbur says, Khalid, I agree with you that T20 is a whole different game, but I think Shukri should coach because he knows the players and has worked with majority of the squad. Yeah, and he's worked with multiple different levels in South African cricket, from the emerging side, from the under-19 side to the emerging side to the domestic cricket to SAA to South Africa. He's coached all levels. He's even been part of the high performance academy. So with having so many years within the South African cricket setup, he knows majority of the players coming through the system that would be at the right period in their career or stage in their career for that 2027 World Cup. In my time square says, I hope whoever becomes the coach to get rid of Bavuma, Rasi, Riza, Maharaj, and with Aiden next in 9, and if David is batting below number 4 in white ball, he also should make ways. Ahmad Sham says, our main problem is that the talents like Aiden Mulder or Cock don't fulfill their initial potential. Lawrence says, Klaasen is only 32, to be honest. He can easily make the 2027 World Cup. He could easily, but I do think that there are talents that could probably exceed his ability in one-day cricket. T20 cricket is a different story. I feel that he still has a couple of T20s in him. But in the ODI format, I feel that there can be other players that can surpass him potentially. And I'd like to see these younger players get an opportunity. But like I said, I'm not going to just axe everybody. I wouldn't want to see them just axe everybody. I would like to see them gradually grow this squad with youngsters, and as you filter out the more experienced players, so that you're not left with a thrown and in the deep end type of scenario. You want these players to be able to learn and grow gradually, so that by the time they hit that 2027 World Cup, they're in full flow, they understand the game, and they have the right mentality to maybe push us to a title. I don't want to see almost like a binging diet where you just cut out everything you intermittent fast, you cut out carbs, everything at once, and then you become a stick within a week, within a month. I don't want that type of mentality. I want to see a gradual growth of this team. Don't throw them into the deep end, and don't just scratch the whole team and just play a whole lot of bunch of youngsters as well, because then they will start to lose games and they will start to get into a rut of losing. Mentally, that can take its toll on you. I know that they have to probably program their game, them or program their mind into saying that no, but the goal is 2027 World Cup. But when you're in that losing cycle, fans won't understand that. Majority of fans won't understand that, and majority of them will probably be on everybody's case within that team, and that negativity will breed negativity, and it will just be an ongoing loop. And you don't want to grow that type of habits within the squad. I'm going to take the last couple, guys. Justin says if Brevis and Pretorius is not in the next white ball series, then I give up. Joab says so SA will win 2026 and 2027 World Cup, but unfortunately Australia will win the WTC final. We'll see about that. Lawrence Bailey says the, Lawrence Bailey says whoever the main coach is, I would love to see Robbie P as the assistant coach with an eye on him then taking over down the line. Australia did that with Andrew McDonald, who was under Langer, and he won cups. Mika says, I know it's unlikely, but SA come into 2027 without an ICC trophy. But if SA come into 2027 without an ICC trophy, the pressure will be crushing in the home World Cup. Okay, guys, excellent show. Thank you for all your interactions. Thank you for all of your comments. This was big news that we had to obviously talk about. But I will see you guys again soon with another live cricket show. Please go download our latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine. The exclusive interview, which is in the mag, is also on the YouTube channel. And go check that out, and also click that notification bell for all future videos. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Smash the like button and all of those type of things as well. And leave your comments in the comment section below as well on YouTube, because that's really important to start to spread the videos as well as to get more fans involved in the conversation, so that the next live show, it can be fire again. So thanks a lot for watching, everyone, and I'll see you guys very, very soon.